1868, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. called a young man to his side in Memphis. That young man carried the cause of economic justice. In his last speech, Reverend King referenced again and again a young pastor who kept saying, we've got to talk about these economic issues. We've got to talk about these labor issues. Please welcome that young man who has stood with us throughout this struggle, the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Let me express my sincere thanks to you for your kindness, for your will to justice. We were sitting in the classroom in Atlanta, Georgia, in Dr. King's office, rather, preparing to go to Washington for the Full People's Campaign. He said between the rise of militarism, racism, economic exploitation, we must go beyond historical boundaries and create a new America. So some whites and Appalachians, some Native Americans, some Latinos, some Jewish allies from New York, led by Lone State, some Latinos from Southwest Texas and Arkansas, some blacks from Deep South decided to go to Washington, preparing to engage in necessary civil disobedience to shift the budget from the war in Vietnam to the war on poverty. He received a telephone call from Reverend Kyles, Jim Lawson, who got to stop by Memphis. Sanitation workers are fighting for collective bargaining, for public recognition, and for justice. The moral authority of those workers was astounding. Their cause was overwhelming, so we went to Memphis to divert from the geography, but not from the agenda. Those workers, two of them, are brought to be with us today because they represent such a compelling moral case. From Memphis, Tennessee, a sanitation worker for the Little Valley. These are workers, these are sanitation workers from Memphis, Tennessee. Say thank you. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for holding out. Thank you for being just. Thank you for caring. Thank you for loving. Somewhere in the midst of that struggle, to sought to make the American land of all of our dreams. We marched, and that was a march, and the government had disrupted us in the back of the march. So when your government said they considered putting provocateurs in a demonstration but it might not go well on television, that was an old script that happened to Dr. King in Memphis as they sought to discredit him. But these men and their wives kept on marching. And then we had a mass rally at Mason Temple Church on April the 3rd, 1968. And the next day, we're talking all today about our future plans for ending war, ending greed, and fighting for justice. It's time to go to dinner around 6 o'clock. And we were coming across the courtyard. Dr. King came out and the door said, Jesse, you're late again. Actually, he was late, an hour late. He said, Jesse, we're going to dinner, you don't have all the time. I said, Doc, it does not require time for eating. The prerequisite is an appetite. He said, you're crazy. And he laughed. He asked a friend of his, Ben Branch, wants you to play tonight the song Precious Lord, and Ben said, I will. He raised his hand. I said, Doc, and then the bullet hit him in the neck. He was killed, murdered instantly, 39 years old. In similar ways, America's before and after Martin Luther King. It's this democracy that we embrace today. Democracy, multiracial democracy, that's King democracy. Multicultural democracy, that's King democracy. 18-year-olds can vote, that's King democracy. Christians and Jews and Muslims and Hindus and Sikhs and sit side by side, That's King democracy. Stop war and invest in peace. That's King democracy. So about this time he was killed, let us stop, join hands, bow our heads in prayer as we commemorate in silence, reflect upon the America he found, the America he left, and the promise of the America he dreamed of. We pray because we will not allow one bullet to kill the dream, not hate to kill love, not death to stop the movement, to make this man the land of our dreams, and make the world more peaceful. We thank you, dear God, for sending Martin Luther King Jr. our way. Please work to stand in that great tradition of justice, of jobs, and fairness. We seek the world where we said there won't no more. Be souls in the plowshares and spears and prison, because we pray, dear God, tonight, in our lifetime, and then the women in the high places with hard hearts will hear our plea. Amen. Back class. Thank you. Commemorate the life, legacy, and living of Dr. King. Commemorate tonight the crucifixion. Tomorrow we hold and realize the resurrection, the new hope, the redemption. Together 43 years later, the dream and life work is under attack. States' rights are expanding law to undermine civil rights for all. They were involved in 3 expensive wars, with bankrupting cities, scapegoating teachers, cutting vital services from education to parks and police services, resegregation of our society is rapidly underway. Milwaukee, the most segregated city in America, a source of shame. Poverty is rising, big corporations not paying taxes, all coming to making trillions in profits. Bank bailout not connected to lending or saving people's homes. Bailout the richest Americans at Christmas time with the tax break extension, freezing federal workers and laying off public workers in March. Unemployment in the nation down slightly for the nation, still rising for blacks and Latinos, more than twice as high as the average. Entrenched infrastructure of discrimination and disparity. We need the White House Conference on racial equality, economic justice, and poverty. More teachers and coaches, not more jail wardens and police. We need to rebuild cities ravaged by home foreclosures, student loan debt forgiveness, and lower tuition costs, sinking middle class and growth of poverty at home with America's humanitarian crisis. We need intervention. We need to restructure our system to more federal resources, not just modify the same old system. The other kings of the true evils of racism, militarism, and economic exploitation, this generation has a special burden and opportunity. To address a system of values and priorities that are out of control. Let nothing break your spirit. Let nothing break your faith. This land is our land. We must not give up on each other. Our God offers in our faith. Tonight we commemorate the crucifixion. Tomorrow we celebrate the resurrection and the redemption and the hope. When we vote tomorrow, we will make Dr. King happy. When we vote, we send a message: one bullet cannot kill a dream or a movement. When we vote, we affirm truth crusher will rise again. Dr. King is alive today because he lives in us. He changed the course of our nation. There was America before and America after Dr. King. This land is our land. This is what democracy will look like. Hold your head high. We live together. We love together. We fight together. We vote together. It gets dark sometimes. It gets dark sometimes. But the morning cometh. It gets dark sometimes. But the morning cometh. We live, we love, we give, we stand up, we fight back. The Lord is our light and our salvation. Whom shall we fear? The Lord is the strength of our lives. It gets dangerous sometimes. Yea, though I walk through valleys and shadows of death, I will believe of God with me, and there's power in that faith, power in that hope when we love each other. And turn to each other, not on each other, and fight together. We'll get our jobs. We'll preserve our democracy. We'll get peace. We'll stay the war no more. And so we thank God for being with us today. We're in the wind beneath our wings. The writer said, we've been waiting for a night. The joy comes in the morning. It's morning time. It's dream time. It's hell time. It's Martin Luther King time. Keep hope alive. Vote. Vote. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Vote tomorrow. Vote tomorrow. Vote tomorrow. Come alive. Amplify. 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 Let me scream like you mean that. Dr. King!